Oh, well, thank you for that. It's my pleasure. You got do I have an agenda here? No, that's my home route.
Calling to order the April 9th, 2018 Transportation Committee meeting. All members are present except for Councilman Lambert. If we could, I will have Councilman Clark lead us in the invocation.
Everyone, please stand. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we ask that you look over the people of Ascension Parish and the Gulf South region as we approach hurricane season in the next couple of months. We ask that you continue to work with all the residents that were displaced from the flood of 2016 and continue to work with them and give them patience, Lord, to see through all the different things they have to go through to get their lives back together. We ask that you look out for the elderly. Finally, we ask that you look out for all the people in emergency and law enforcement that serve and protect us. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a public comment period, 3 minutes for anyone that would like to speak. Please fill out a card and turn it in if you'd like to speak on any agenda item, please. I've got nothing to add for the committee chairman's report. Moving on to number 5, acceptance of the minutes of the February 28th, 2018 meeting.
Motion to accept, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We've got a motion by Councilman Cagnolati in 2 seconds. No opposition, so approved. Moving on to number 6, roads to be considered for acceptance into the parish maintenance system. Mr. DeArmond.
How y'all doing tonight? We got 2 subdivisions that the bond's running out next month, so we're bringing them to you tonight. One of them's Hollow, the Dutchtown Phase 3. You want to go through them one by one?
Yes, please.
Like normal. Cypress Hollow Avenue is 1,596.55 feet.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cazzo.
Second.
And a second. Any opposition? Any discussion? No opposition. So moved.
Sleepy Hollow Drive, 830 feet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Councilman Cagnolati
Second.
and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Any discussion? None. No opposition. So moved.
Shady Ridge Drive, 587 feet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Cagnolati, second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition? None. So moved.
Irvin Avenue, 513 feet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Councilman Cagnolati
Second.
and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Discussion? None. No opposition. So moved.
Second subdivision is Ironwood Estate subdivision. First road is Ironwood Avenue, 1,222.25 feet.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cazzo and a second by
Second.
Councilman Cagnolati. No discussion. No opposition. So moved.
Ledgestone Drive, 1,118.15 feet.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, a second by Councilman Cagnolati. No opposition. So moved.
Waycross, 1,312.50 feet.
So moved.
We have a
Mr.
motion by Councilman Cagnolati and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo. So moved.
Herringbone Drive, 780.37 feet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion
Second.
by Councilman Cagnolati and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo. So moved.
Flagstone Avenue, 381.88 feet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Councilman Cagnolati
Second.
and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo.
Copperwood Avenue, 382.08 feet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Councilman Cagnolati and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo. So moved. Moving
Now,
on.
I'm going to do something a little different tonight because this one here I'm coming up with, it was never put in the book. It came before the council prior to some of y'all being here. It was brought on 4/22/2015. These roads is mostly a cleanup item. We denied them because they had some problems, but since then, the problems have been corrected. So this is going to go into the what you're seeing on the cover page for mileage that's we taking in tonight. I think it's 5 roads I'll go through. So, it's,
Yeah, for procedure's sake, I don't think we have it in our agenda. So
well, it's
I'm-
in your packet.
Oh, it
It's
is?
Keystone or Galvez. Should be your 4th and 5th filings, and
Okay, I see. It's in our packet. It just wasn't on
4th
the
and 5th filings, yeah.
front of the agenda there.
like I say, it's a cleanup item. The night they were denied, they never made it to the books, so we're trying to clean the books up too. So we need to take these roads in so it could reflect in the book.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we've got this procedurally. Do we have any opposition? This was included in the packet, it just wasn't on the actual agenda.
You just need 100% add.
Yeah, I'm just making sure we've got, seeing what it is. So it's 1, 2, is it 3 roads?
I think it's 5.
5 roads,
Yeah,
yes,
5
5
roads.
roads.
Yeah.
Okay, do we need a roll call for this? To edit, we need 100%, we do a roll call to add this to the agenda. So just,
This was sent to us because the secretary for the council realized that it was never taken in, so that's why we're bringing it up.
no, I understand, I just want to make sure, since it wasn't on the actual printed
Not on the
agenda,
agenda.
that it was in the packet, not on the agenda. So do we have any opposition to adding this to the agenda? So we have no opposition, so it's unanimous, so we can add this to the agenda. Okay, you can go forward,
All
Mr.
right,
Yarman.
Carterstone Avenue, 444 feet.
Why don't we do all of these at once?
All right,
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, Ricky, these issues have been addressed, they have been
Yes.
taken care of.
they've all been corrected.
Okay.
We'll do all of these at once.
All right.
So moved, Mr.
You
Chairman.
want me to list them and give you the footage, and then we'll move on?
Yes.
All right, Carterstone Avenue, 444 feet. Hartstone Avenue, 1,104 feet. Jadestone Avenue, 1,005 feet. Magic Stone Avenue, 610 feet. Marblestone Avenue, 2,166 feet.
Okay,
So
we had a
moved.
motion by Councilman Cagalati
Second.
and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Discussion by Councilman Cluart.
Ricky, can you explain to us once more why it's been sitting?
This,
and why it
this is
came
what
up?
normally happens when we deny roads here and y'all accept that denial. Usually the bond is placed on hold. And at that time, they had some major work to be done. The curb was rolling away from the asphalt. We had like 160 foot of curb. We also had a failure in the street. We had a pothole. So we got on the contractors and got them to fix it. The bond was on hold. It got fixed, but it never was brought back to y'all. I got another one that's gonna be coming up right after this one, and it's the same way. We denied it in March, but it's been fixed, so I'm gonna bring it back up tonight.
So what does this do to the cost of the bond, or length of the bond? Does it
Well, the
change?
bonds actually run out because
Okay.
the hole was lifted on it after work was complete, but it was never brought back before y'all. It's just an oversight.
And
I
it
don't
was
put
repaired
hold,
at the
I just
contractor's-
deny it. I don't mess with the bonds as far as
Yeah,
who puts them on hold. Normally, we have an engineering department that'll place the bond on hold.
and it
this
was
one was
repaired at the
overlooked.
contractor's cost?
What's that?
It was repaired at the.
Oh, yeah, the
at
contractor
contractor's
repaired,
cost.
yes. So,
And you
But
feel good
because-
about it now?
oh, yeah. These just didn't appear in the book. We're trying to clean the book up. We have a lot of work to do in the book. So this was something to get back in the book, and put them in the book, you know. The
Yeah.
hours, actually, they got a 365-day rule. I don't know, I'm sure y'all aware of it. I got it in your package, it's highlighted. If we don't do any inspections, they automatically come in 365
Right.
days, you know. So these are actually in, but I'm just bringing it to y'all to make it legal.
Yeah, because these, this has been a long time.
Yeah, this, since 2015 on this one.
So let me just ask, just hypothetically speaking, that if nothing's done, 365 days, they automatically come in? Do they come in without the approval of the council?
According to the way it reads, Randy, I'm pretty sure it
Just want to
does.
make that clear.
I think it does according to what I read in this ordinance. Yeah. You got a copy? You can
Yeah.
look over it real quick. You can make that determination yourself.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so that's what I would rather,
Well, that's another thing I want to bring up while we're on the 365-day rule.
that's,
We have pushed the bonds to 18 months.
yeah.
So this is needing to be changed.
Well, that's what we need to bring,
You know.
that needs to be brought forward to us.
We need to push it to 400 and something days, 52, I believe it was. I can give you a number in just a second.
I would just like to ask the chairman to look into that. and get that
546
on our
days.
meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if you would, I'd like to see it, get with planning and zoning. They utilize this more than anybody else, and there's no real engineers overviewing what Rick and them are doing right now. So I talked to Jerome Fournier, and he said he'd be more than willing to take a look at this. And we need to match up with what we did by adopting the 18-month bond.
Okay, that'd be very good. I'll put that on the next agenda. Do you want to bring that to us, John? Put that in your name?
Well, we got another look at it because it leaves this committee and goes to the council.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it probably needs to be run by legal because the old ordinance says 365. We gotta go to 546 days with the 18-month bond.
Yeah.
So we have to clean up that paperwork too.
yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem with it tonight. It's unexpected, but not on the agenda, but we got another look at it when it gets out
Yeah.
of committee.
I mean, and maybe, I don't know, y'all might wanna look at this. I got four more roads.
Yeah.
2 roads on Germany Oaks. And 2 of them was denied that night and 2 of them came in the system. So this is just paperwork cleanup too. I brought this before y'all on March 6th at the transportation meeting. We accepted 2 roads in the subdivision. We denied 2 because they had some crack sealing to do. And since that night, they have finished that project too. They have completed the crack seal. So now we need to go ahead and accept this and clean up the paperwork on these. So y'all want me to read those?
Yep.
Y'all ready for that?
Yeah. It's okay.
All right, Germany Oaks subdivision, first filing, Germany Oaks Boulevard, 2,290 feet.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None, no objection. So moved.
Water Oak Avenue, 1,305 feet.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None, and so moved.
I thank y'all, that takes care of everything I need to get
Thank you.
passed.
And Darla, we'll make sure that we put that on next month's agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item number 7, traffic impact study analysis, Urban Systems, Inc. Christine Dara and Jerome Fournier, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I have with me members of Urban Systems, Inc., who are preparing the analysis of our traffic impact policy, the one that's being used by subdivisions in order to determine the level the level that needs to occur when we do a traffic study. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Christine Dara from Urban Systems to talk about the process and the contract that they're doing right now for us.
Hi, good evening. Yes, we received our notice to proceed and our kickoff meeting was held on March 19th. And then from that, we'd established a schedule that by contract, we are to provide the draft copy of our revised traffic impact analysis policy by April 24th. However, we are preparing to have that to all stakeholders by April 20th, which is Friday, April 20th. And that way we can proceed with the stakeholder meetings, beginning that next week of April 23rd. And those stakeholders will consist of the Transportation Committee, Engineering Reviewing Agency, Department of Planning, and then members of the Planning Commission. And I understand that we'll have to do multiple meetings with some of those to get that all in. After we get all of those comments and we assess them and make any revisions that we deem are needed from those, we will prepare presentations to have at the council meeting as well as the Planning Commission. Some things that what we're doing is looking at that all developments will submit a traffic impact analysis based on thresholds. If a subdivision application is not required, then a traffic impact analysis should be submitted with a building permit. So that way we can get the traffic impact from all entities and not just the subdivisions. The policy will be updated to include procedures, including submittal timeframes, the pre-application process for the documentation, threshold determination, and then it would be the time for a parish to give their input. The traffic impact analysis, the updates would include format, content, design parameters, and then also approval process and mitigation.
Okay, very good. So I just want to make sure we're on the timetable. So that will be completed, the draft, by the 20th, and then we'll have the stakeholders meetings.
Yes, sir.
Can we do those quite possibly the next week?
Yes.
After 20?
On the week of the 23rd is when I'm anticipating that we should be able to start doing those.
Okay, and then our next transportation committee hearing will be, I think, the second week of May, I believe. Yeah.
So if we get those meetings in and we can get those, we get those comments incorporated, that's most possible.
Okay.
We're not holding it to it, but we are hopeful.
Well, we're going to hold pretty tight to it. I know there were some delays with y'all getting the contract.
Yes, sir.
Through no fault of your own, quite honestly. The council approved it, or the transportation approved it February 5th. The council approved it February 15th, and then I don't know why it took so long for y'all to get a contract. I know that wasn't y'all's fault, though. So we are going to hold it pretty tight to that May meeting.
May meeting, okay.
Correct. Does anybody have any questions? Councilwoman Cazzo.
Yes, if it was approved on February 15th by the council, at what point did you all actually get a contract?
I don't know if I have that exact date.
Okay. I just don't want to imply that we're having a slow process if I don't know when you got the contract, and I want to be able to question why it took so long, if it indeed took so long to get to you. So if you could get me with that date for me, please.
Sure.
I think, we have oversight, and we need to be concerned about how long it takes from the time the council this committee votes, the council votes, and a contract is gotten
Okay.
To
Yes, ma'am.
our vendor.
Okay.
Appreciate that very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any more questions? Okay, moving on to number 8, Department Report, Mike Enlow.
Okay. Good evening. 2017 road maintenance program. We're going to trying to do things a little differently here. And with the road overlay program, we put a table in I think the third page of the report. Kind of gives you a breakdown in detail of the roads and the amount in each task order. We're in the second task for the 2017 road maintenance program. We're scheduled to finish pavement on Trails End. Was scheduled for today. They're going to move to Charles Gonzalez next week. We have a change order on tonight's agenda to extend their contract. I think it's going to be up. Was up maybe 3 or 4 days ago, so we want to extend it into May. So that's another item coming later on the agenda. 2018 is the same thing. We have the table that you can see the roads that are in our task orders. And if you have any questions on that, I'll be glad to answer them. Any questions?
Just let everybody look. Councilwoman Cazzo.
I know we've had some issues on Ridge Road. I appreciate that you all have been very helpful to my constituents who have called in. Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you will, I just want to say, keep up the good work.
All right. Tacey's been on top of that, so.
She has. Thank you.
Okay, LA 22 mill and overlay. This project's been going on for a while now, but we're hoping to get it to construction or have DOTD get it to construction here shortly. We had to wait to have this project budget amended in the CRPC budget, which takes a vote of the whole region and their representatives. So it had gotten delayed a month, and I think 2 weeks ago at the last meeting I went to, they finally approved it. So those projects tend to get bundled up with other projects in the region, so just kind of the way it is, I suppose. We'll keep you guys in the loop on that. But again, to go over that, the parish match is 20% or $728,223. The DOTD report is an attachment, and I don't know if you guys have any questions on that. I'd be glad to try to answer those. If not, we can move on to the Move Ascension update.
I'd like to mention one thing, because I know I've been hearing a lot of things from people, and I don't know if it's in this DOTD report. There's a lot of talk about closing down the overpass on Bluff Road, which is going to, cause some issues. And just so the public knows, one of the things that we've looked at, can we speed along Seaboro Road, doing that? And really, that's not going to be feasible. They're going to close down Bluff Road. That's going to be closed down beginning in June. It is, I would virtually say, impossible. I think impossible may be the right term to use.
I think the good thing is we won't be into construction during that time.
Exactly.
So,
that we can't widen Seaboro Road in time to have it done before Bluff Road is closed. It requires buying right away, getting all the contracts signed, getting it completely designed. It just cannot happen in that time period. I just want to let people know this. It was looked into. It was something that we considered, but time-wise, it's nothing that can happen. There are some ideas that are being bandied about right now. I don't know if I'm at liberty to discuss everything that's going on with that, because I don't know how far we are along and everything. But to ease that process on people, the process of closing down Bluff Road, that overpass for a period of time. But it should be done during the summer months when there's no school, which should ease things. Welcome to add whatever you need.
To be honest, I didn't know about it until I saw it on the news. I wasn't contacted by anybody with DOTD, so that's just something I think when I looked more into it, something that has to be done. It looks like there's something with that overpass that just needs to be fixed, and they're doing it at the right time during school, but it's not going to help us any, because that's one of the routes we use to go into Baton Rouge or get our traffic out of the north part of the parish.
Councilwoman Cazzo.
Yeah, just a comment. It's obvious to me that the pillars that support that overpass have to be taken out. They sit in the proposed traffic lane for the new interstate. And I don't know if most folks understand that they're widening the interstate on the inside, not on the outside. And if you are approaching Ascension Parish from either direction, you can see that the support structure is in the center. So it has to be removed. And certainly I think the concern for citizens, my first concern for my citizens is we didn't know anything about this until we saw it on the news. Mm-hmm. And we really have, we have addressed that. Mr. Daniels has spoken to DOTD and requested that we have better communication from DOTD to the local administration and governing authority so that people can be prepared for this kind of inconvenience, and where we would have answers whenever the news media comes out with this information. The concern that I would ask you to take a good hard look at is primarily the Alligator Bayou Road. That is a very good way to get to out to Highway 30 or Nicholson from north part of Ascension Parish. It would keep people from having to go backwards and go to 73. But at the moment, Alligator Bayou Road is closed for two reasons. The construction project at Alligator Bayou locks, and the proposed construction project for Fish and Frog Bayou. So it's important that we find out, and I believe that I have gotten information today that I suspect is as accurate as we're going to get, that Iberville's project is due to be completed around July. If there was any way that could be hastened, then this Alligator Bayou could be opened, at least temporarily, for the duration of this closure of the Bluff Road overpass, and then we could begin our project upon permit and have to close it back down again in order to do Fish and Frog Bayou. But, so if you all will just research that with Iberville, I think you'll probably be able to confirm the information I was given today. But we would also like to encourage them at whatever pace they can get this thing done. It would be a huge help to us in that area if it could be opened as quickly as possible.
Yes, ma'am. One more thing to note is that the project on the widening is a design build, and as engineers, we always want to be prepared and look ahead for these types of things. But I can only imagine that's probably one of the reasons it was done like this. They probably didn't want to inform us this way, but being that it's a design build, there's a pretty short fuse on getting this thing done, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll keep a bind on it, and I'll be in touch with the Iberville Parish officials and look and see what we can do if,
Right.
with those projects being completed.
Well, and I think people also need to understand that there is a cost benefit, and obviously constructing a bridge to take out a bridge in order to keep the traffic going is not practical. As much as I would love to be able to tell people that's what they're going to do, we'll fight to get you a bridge built so that bridge, when it is taken out, there is a way for you to get across. It's just not practical. We can't build two bridges in one project. And to build a bridge and realign the road likely would not be practical either. I haven't determined that from an engineer, but I can imagine just looking at it myself that would be impractical. So I think people just need to keep in mind that it's going to be frustrating, but it has to be done. You cannot put traffic lanes down the middle of the interstate with a big column sitting in it. And that bridge needs to be raised for some practical purposes. And it cannot, we cannot build two bridges to get one. So we're just going to have to be patient.
Yes, ma'am.
For about 3 months.
Councilman McClure.
And hope it doesn't rain.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Councilman McClure.
Real quick, with Mike and Tacy, it's not in my district, but it's right outside of my district. It's the curve on 431 between Santa Monica and Brittany. That project there, it just, I mean, I don't know if it's within its time frame or what, but it's, I'm getting a lot of complaints from folks in my district, and that's Councilman Bill Dawson's district right there. So, and Mr. Cagliotti kind of sharing all that. If y'all can tune into the state and let them know the frustration of the folks there with the way the construction's gone, the hardship on the people that actually have driveways coming in there.
Yes, sir.
And, it just seems like that there was a lot of good opportunity of good weather missed. So, not being on that construction project, I may be all wrong. But
I will get in touch with Scott with the district tomorrow and see if this is 100% accurate. This says 48% complete, 93% time elapsed.
those numbers don't add up.
Yeah, they're
Not the right way, at least.
They're not, well, they
Not unless they're going to shift another gear. But I know they're above ground now, so that's the hardest
Right.
part. So they may be able to make up some time. And it's just really, really frustrating. And I'm all about the barrels and doing construction and making improvements. So that
Yes,
is
sir.
a safety project. It's had several deaths there on that curve. And so I just want to pass it on.
Yes, sir.
People are starting to get real frustrated. And once again, while y'all on the phone with them, tell him thank you for moving along with Gold Place intersection.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Will do. Okay, there's no more questions. I wanted to point out that we've included a spreadsheet of the pavement management activities from this past month. It's going to be tough to kind of see that, but I wanted to mention there was 114 work orders opened up, or tasks opened up. 7 are in progress and 107 are completed. So that's all the various activities that Alan Bros Group does for us. And that's part of the the report. If there's no more questions on any of that stuff, we'll move on to the
Real
move.
quick,
Real
Yep.
quick,
Councilman
Mike.
Clark.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Could you guys, between William and yourself and somebody, as we've had some management changes in our DPW over time, and things like that. Quick note on, did you send out to the council, if I got a drainage problem, who do I call? If I got a road problem, who do I call? The normal calling place, not necessarily you. People who end up calling us will end up calling you, not necessarily the right person to get a work order done. So, and maybe post it on the, the hotline number or whatever, There you are.
Well, if y'all looked at your flow chart, William Daniels is over that, so you can call William Daniels.
Good deal.
Okay, Mike takes care of a lot of road stuff, and
Yeah, that's
y'all
what-
call William on any infrastructure, but I mean, right now with the
Yeah.
drainage, we did put together, we're not finished putting together, but Ron Saway is our interim,
Good deal.
okay?
Thanks, sir.
But call William, thanks.
Got it.
225-281-3792.
86753. Say that again out loud. What's the number? Terry, let's write it down.
I forgot the last four digits.
We'll get it later.
I'll get that for
Do you
you.
have
That's
any more?
it, that's it.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to go into the Move Ascension update. Jeff is going to come up here, but the website to date has 382 views.
382. We'd like to see that number move up.
Absolutely.
People, if you're watching, check out the Move Ascension website because there's a lot of information on there to answer a lot of questions.
MoveAscension.com.
MoveAscension.com, that's right. Okay, where are we next? Do you have anything else? Jeff?
sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, committee members. In your Move Ascension update in your packet here, I'm going to give you some updates on some things that have happened since our last briefing that we've had. Some of the information in there is kind of redundant from other past meetings. I just kept it in more for your information, and we'll kind of skip over this to keep this very brief. If you'll notice at first, we have 16 projects under contract right now with various design consultants, and that's in a tabulated format, so you can see which projects and which consultants are designing them, and those for all the pre-construction services we have underway. Now, as we are no longer adding signalization and turn lanes at various intersections along the Roddy corridor, we are looking at doing other intersection improvements around the parish, and we're looking at the possibility of various intersection improvements, whether it be signals and turn lanes or roundabouts, et cetera. And these are some of the projects enumerated below for you that we're considering as well for additional pre-construction services. Item 2 is the airline highway signal timing and synchronization throughout the entire parish limits and along the entire corridor. We had used Neil Schaefer to do the traffic analysis, and we provided that information to DOTD to enter into their models. The DOTD is breaking up the implementation of that new signal timing into 2 phases, starting at LA 30 and going to 621, and then phase 2 will pick up from there and go to the parish line at 427. Now, all the modeling fieldwork and implementation DOTD has completed on phase 1, except at the intersection at 30, because there's some issues with the signal heads that they're fixing first. But that's complete. They're going to kind of monitor it and see over the next few weeks if they need any tweaks to it, at which time then we'll send Neil Schaefer back out there to do some post-travel runs so that we can see if it's operating the way it's supposed to from a synchronization standpoint. And if not, then we can go back to DOTD and have them kind of tweak their model. I talked to the folks at DOTD, and Chris Ewing, today, matter of fact, and he said that phase 2 of that from 621 going to the East Baton Rouge Parish line should be complete, all the modeling and field work and implementation in the next 2 months. And again, we'll do the same thing. We'll actually verify it within several weeks after it's implemented there, just to see if it's working, how it's meant to work. And then we can always go back if it's not. The next thing is just on the CRPC and the federal money we're getting from the MPOs. You've seen this information before, so won't spend a lot of time on that. Of all the projects we have underway in pre-construction activity, you'll see a table on the last sheet of your packet there. And you can just see the varying percents complete of all the different phases of pre-construction services we have. And you can see it that some are, a lot farther along than others. Some just recently got executed contracts and things like that. So we're constantly updating that and keeping them to their schedule. And actually several are ahead of schedule, which is always good. And that just outlines maybe the major milestones. There are a ton of little sub-activities, and I didn't want to overpopulate the table there, but you can see on the major milestones where they stand as far as progress. Next, we're tracking on your behalf other ongoing Ascension projects. There's two of note, the Church Point Roddy Roundabout. DOT is contributing $1 million towards that. It's in final design right now, and we're beginning to start the right-of-way acquisition phase, which is necessary, and to turn it back over to DOT for letting. The second is on Babin Road. It's the bridge over Bayou Narcisse. We are currently in right-of-way acquisition phase right now. The project's 100% designed, and once we acquire the right-of-way and relocate the utilities, we turn it back to DOT as part of their off-system bridge program. They will let it to construction. They will fund the construction and the construction inspection to the tune of approximately about $550,000 or so $1,000. Speaking of right-of-way acquisition, that's the next item. We are currently underway with right-of-way acquisition on St. Landry Connector. Our subconsultant that acquires the right-of-way, GCR, was, matter of fact, in contact with the BAS real estate acquisition section out of their New Jersey office today, and those negotiations are going pretty quickly, and we hope to have it acquired here in the next couple of weeks. And then I just added a chart here. So now that we are in right-of-way acquisition phase on several projects, I want to kind of give you a little highlight of kind of where we stand on some of the pieces and parts that go into it. And so you'll see in your chart there where we stand on title reports, appraisals, acts of sale, and things like that for some of these projects. The next item is environmental permitting. We're moving forward with environmental permitting on all of the immediate action projects. All the wetland delineations have been complete and submitted to the Corps. The St. Landry permit is in its final stages, and we anticipate in the next 2 to 3 weeks to have our Corps permit on that project as well. And lastly, just some ongoing Move Ascension activities, just like we always try to mention to you, that we're continuously monitoring, coordinating with stakeholders. We're analyzing the DOT road transfer program. We're continually updating program schedules and budgets, as well as projecting out expenditures and revenue as we can move and fund the program here in the next several years. We're constantly monitoring and overseeing all of the right-of-way acquisition activities, utility relocation coordination, and again, the environmental permitting. And then, of course, we're beginning to develop, because we're going to be going to construction here pretty soon on several of these projects, the construction proposals that go out for bid. And with that, I did skip over. I left some information, just FYI, on what DOTD is doing in the parish. But y'all have seen that before, so I didn't want to spend a bunch of time on it. But with that kind of ends my abridged briefing this evening, but I'll stand ready to answer any questions you have.
Councilman Cagalati.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you. On this chart on the back, the Move Ascension chart, as far as percent of completion,
Yes, sir.
the milestone statuses, in your opinion, I mean, some are ahead of others, but is it because they just got started later? I'm asking, in your opinion, how are these firms performing so far?
The vast majority are performing very well.
Okay.
And on or ahead of schedule. And you'll see the varying levels of progression based on when they got on the contract.
Okay.
And, we had that initial first group, and then we've started executing task orders, staggeredly throughout.
Groups. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Cagalati, I will mention some of these. If you would look at the dates, we wrote the notice to proceed. They're a little behind, but that's only due to the coordination with CRPC. We thought they would be a little quicker to engage DOTD and provide an H number, which kind of signifies whenever that project is a reality. But, so it took a little while for them to get started, but everyone is doing pretty good on their schedule, if not great, so.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I've talked to some of these firms, and they're getting pushed pretty hard, which I like to hear. I think by y'all, by us, by everybody involved. So let's continue to push, and we'll get some orange barrels up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, we're coordinating with them on a daily basis almost, and have stressed to them the importance of being expedient and being very aggressive on the schedule and sticking to it. I mean, this is an unprecedented program here in Ascension Parish. It's very visible, and everybody's going to put their best effort forward. And, it's our job to oversee those efforts and to make sure that they stick to these schedules.
No, speed and quality.
Yes,
Two
sir.
things we're looking for. Any other questions? Councilman Glory.
Yeah, real quick, your right-of-way sub, GCR, I'm losing that acronym, who is that? What is,
I'm actually not sure what that acronym stands for. It's just GCR
That's their name.
Incorporated. That's the name of it. They don't actually, I don't know if that was the the first initial, the last name of the founders.
so, yes, I guess that's somebody you guys hired.
We did.
There's nobody on our list of,
No, it's not a design consultant. It's a right-of-way acquisition firm,
Okay.
and they are a subconsultant to us. So the task order that we were issued to go acquire the right-of-way is basically, that's just for them. It's a pass-through to their company.
okay.
I'll find out, though.
No, I can't, I see some volunteers in the back, but I'll get it in another meeting. But
No problem.
it doesn't come to me who it is. That's what I was just wondering. All right.
If I remember correctly, they came and did a presentation.
They did.
Yes.
The president of the firm is a woman named Mona Nassari. She's not the owner, but
Yeah, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
Oh.
I'm just asking that.
Make
I
sure you
will
all
get
your
you that
questions
answer.
Recognize it.
oh, please go ahead.
It's Gregory C. Rigamer. They were a local firm. Same guy as the pollster, but they did the real estate. Mona Nassari, as he said, does do their real estate with them. BKI's worked with them for years. They're good people, very, very competent. But they have been bought out by a national company, an investment group, not an engineering group, but they are in the New Orleans area, and they do real estate acquisition and appraisals.
Thank you, Henry.
Appreciate the help.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any more questions for Jeff? No, thank you very much.
Okay, thank y'all.
Okay, Mr. Enlow, do we have anything else to add under the department report?
No, that completes it.
Okay, great, very good. Moving on to number 9, approval of change order number 2-MC associated with asphalt reconstruction and overlay 2017 master contract to add 30 days to the contract term ending on May 5th, 2018. Tayser Rabelais.
Mr. Enlow mentioned this a few minutes ago. This $0 change order just to add time to their contract. They need to finish out their second task order. They should be done by May 5th, we're hoping. So we are just adding 30 days to their contract so that they can finish out.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have discussion.
Just rain delays or?
Various issues. Some of it weather, and some of it just coordination. Trying to get things right before we move on. We didn't. I guess the 60 days we initially accounted for wasn't quite enough. We should have probably made it 90.
Thank you.
So there's no real formula to it. It's just kind of
Yep.
like guesstimation, and we didn't guesstimate quite well enough.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any opposition? None moved. Moving on to number 11, approval to have the parish president and/or his designated authorized parish representative execute just compensation offer through the RW right-of-way acquisition process. Mr. Enlow.
Skip 10.
Oh, did I skip 10?
We can go back.
I apologize, because that's an important one. I'm going back to number 10. Approval to install no parking signs at the end of Swallow Bayou Road to deter vehicles from parking on the street and in the right-of-way. Mr. Enlow.
Yeah, that road is pretty, it's substandard and deep ditches, and I think there's a gentleman in the back that was complaining to law enforcement about parking vehicles that park on the side of the road, and he can't get his trailer by, and apparently in order for the police to enforce it, we need to have no parking signs, and they should be there. There shouldn't be anybody parking on the side of the road there, so that's what we want to do.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Canzo, a second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any discussion? None, so moved. I apologize. Now we're moving on to number 11. Approval to have parish president and/or his designated authorized parish representative execute just compensation offer throughout the right-of-way acquisition process. Mr. Enlow.
Yeah, this is part of the Move Ascension program. If you notice, there's a real simple example we put in your packets, and it's like it says, just to have you all designate the parish president to execute these offers for the Move Ascension process program.
And just to be clear, can you just tell us why this is necessary? I mean, I understand we got to get this process moving, and we have to have somebody in the parish authorized to do this. Is that?
Yes, sir.
Simplified statement?
Yeah, basically.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any opposition? None, so moved. Moving on to number 12. Approval to restart task number 1 via supplement 1 under the master contract for general engineering consultant services, transportation master plan development and implementation, and to amend HNTB contract by additional $250,414 as well as to amend road construction budget accordingly. Mr. Enlow.
Okay, if you recall, in order to get the quick start projects expedited, we stopped the master transportation plan and moved $200,000 to that effort. What we're doing tonight is we've met in the process of part 1 of the master plan and identified a few things we'd like to add to that effort. So we're coming back tonight and asking for $250,414 to put back into that task order to complete the master transportation plan. The transportation plan is going to be used for obvious reasons, but also for the land use plan that's being done by another consultant. Those things are going to kind of fit together with some of the drainage stuff as well. So,
I was about to say, this will coincide with the drainage master plan also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just to be clear, I know when I took my ride-along with CPEX through my district, one of the things we talked about was what are the plans for the roadway, the drainage. This is all going to go into the master use plan, so we don't have a situation where the master use plan says we need to build over here, but the drainage plan says this is an area you shouldn't build in, and we don't have any road improvements going to it. We're
Right.
trying to coordinate everything all at once.
Right,
Mr.
that's
Chairman.
right.
Councilman Cagliotti.
I'm on the stakeholders committee for that master plan, and that is exactly the plan. CPEX has already spoken to HNTB and CSRS. They're going to roll in the transportation master plan and the drainage plan and make it a all-inclusive.
Okay. Very good.
One of the things to note that we added into the master plan was to get some better modeling or higher detailed modeling at, I think we chose 14 intersections. We didn't choose intersections, but we got the amount of 14 intersections to do. So what they'll do is come in and model that and get a good idea of what's going on. You know, a lot of Ascension's problem, we have a lot of AM and PM peak traffic at a lot of our intersections and not much during the day. So we want to get a model and see what's going on there, and it's going to be pretty neat. So,
If I understand correctly, that's one of the issues that we've had with some of our road projects, working with the state.
Correct.
Is that they require an 8-hour time period. Our
Correct.
traffic does not always match an 8-hour time period. We may have heavy traffic in the morning with schools, and then in the mid-afternoon when schools are getting out, which doesn't rate high enough to have some
Right.
improvements done, yet that's when people are sitting in traffic.
correct.
And this is a way that we may be able to use this information to get more state dollars and more authority to do things on some state roads.
Right. Everything's based off of their EDSM manual, and you know, it has to meet a certain threshold for if you're touching a state route. Biggest problem Ascension has is we have double the state average of state roads per square mile of land area. We're at 8.2 miles of state road per 10 square miles of land mass. So the state average is 4. That's why we're looking into the road transfer and looking at various options. And doing stuff like that. Because it just getting a permit to tie in any intersection, you almost hit a state road. So, and you have to bring them to the table. So.
Councilman Clark, do you have?
Yeah, just expand on what Mike says, and you know, between the 1950s and the 70s, you know, we developed with state money, a lot of state roads. We have, you know, gone through, and we did end up with a lot. We talked about that up in Baton Rouge a couple of times, long time ago, and, you know, the burden, and that's why the road trading program, you know, they kind of pitched some of that to us. But,
Yes, sir.
we worked on a little bit of it, but we do have a lot of state roads.
We do. That's the gist of it. We're trying to look through the details of that and see which ones, if we do want to take over, and if we can afford to keep up with that extra burden. So we're weighing all those options.
I just got a quick question, Mr. Cagney, it might even be answer that since he's on that committee. Is the integration of all the master plans is what's the time? Did I miss something? Do we have some type of timetable? Maybe the administration can approach that, one of you guys.
I think, John, but Jerome, I don't know if he left, but he's one that kind of the project manager over it.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think they're going to be finished with this somewhat toward the end of this year, maybe around the fourth quarter of this year. They should have those things ready and all the recommendations. Fourth quarter 2018.
Well, I just hope the best for this attempt.
They did say, excuse me, Chair, I didn't mean to interrupt,
No,
Randy,
go
but
ahead.
they did say that it, depending on the timing, they have to do these workshops, and they're critical to the process for the land use development portion of it. They're going to try to shoot and target for the end of the year, but they said it might fold into the first quarter of next year. They wanted to, extend some caution. It might, due to reasons beyond their control, it might not happen by the end of the year, but they're going to target the end of the year.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
Okay, do we have a motion? I've lost track.
So moved, Mr.
We have a
Chair.
motion by Councilman Cagney
Second.
and a second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Any discussion? Any objections? None. So approved. Moving on to number 13. That is correct. Approval of contract for Gresham Smith and Partners in the amount of $49,500 to provide technical assistance for the Safe Routes to Public Places Program, SRTPPP, and/or Local Road Safety Program, LRSP. Mike Enlow.
Yes, in your package, there's a scope of services for this company. They're well-versed at collecting the data for these programs. And these are, by the way, these are 100% funded construction, I think administrative monies as well. So it's 100%, I think up to $250,000 per project. But this could be sidewalks, this could be intersection improvements, guardrails, signs, stuff like that. They're smaller scale projects, but this company's well versed at going down and understanding what needs to be, what data needs to be pulled from all the crash data and traffic counts to put together applications for these projects. So we think we can get about 4 to 5 of these completed with this company.
And
this contract.
I'm sorry, are these the type of things that like sidewalks to schools, that sort of thing?
Right. They've the Safe Routes to Public Places program. So
Okay. I mean, that'll help get cars off the road if kids can walk to school, and give it a safe way to do it, that sort of thing.
I think so.
Do we have any discussion? Councilwoman Cazzo.
Just a note of thanks, Mike, for pursuing this. I think this is important, particularly around our public schools. We have, the impact of all these cars going to our schools.
Yes, ma'am.
And if the neighborhood is right next door, there ought to be a sidewalk to ensure that a child can safely walk.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we look forward to getting some feedback from this group.
Yes, ma'am. I'll keep you updated.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, John D. Oh, okay. We have a motion and a second. Any opposition? None. So moved. And moving on to number 14, Approval to increase the master contract for professional engineering design and related services, Move Ascension, and to approve amending of the Move Ascension fund budget for an additional $3 million, increasing the total contract amount from $7 million to a new total not to exceed amount of $10 million in order to task out the pre-construction activities for additional Phase 2 projects within the Move Ascension program. 11 firms under this contract are BKI, SKA, Brugart Horn, Evans Graves, GSA, Hartman, Meyer Engineering, Neil Schaefer, SJB Group, TBS, and Volkert. Mr. Enlow.
Okay. Just to let you all know that the money is being moved from within the Move Ascension budget. Okay, we had a good deal of cost savings for when DOTD denied the intersection improvements on the crossing routes on Roddy. So we're still buying right away and looking toward the future for those intersection improvements, but just on our side, and we're saving quite a bit of money not doing the construction on the state routes for them. So that's where this money's coming from. We are just, I wrote a notice to proceed on a task order for Paris Road 929 and Bro Road roundabout design today, and that brings the total amount spent on the previous, this contract up just under $7 million. So we're asking for another $3 million to look at more Phase 2 projects, intersection improvements, and I think that's most of the ones we're looking at are intersection improvements and maybe a safety widening of a road. But that $3 million will go a long way to pay for the design and other pre-construction activities, any inspection work, stuff like that for these projects. So spent quite a few dollars, and we've got quite a few projects to show for it on the being designed. So,
and just so I can be clear, we design these projects, and at this point, we're designing them to get ahead of the game. Then we're going to look for more funds later on as years progress to get this stuff built.
Yes. If we're gonna look at the budget, and we should be able to pay for a lot of these improvements, the smaller intersection improvements, as throughout the next few years.
Yes.
But that is ideas. Get the design done and have them shovel ready, if you will.
But I guess my point is that we don't build things, we don't get things built, we don't get better infrastructure or any of that until we start doing the design work.
That's correct.
Because I hear a lot of people say, why do we have to design? Why do we have to pay engineering firms or contractors to do all this kind of stuff? Roads don't just get built. We have to pay to get it designed. We haven't done that in years past. We're starting to do it now, and we're going to start over hopefully the next couple of years, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, have a continuous flow of design and get something built. Design, get something built.
Right. Yeah, and I don't want to be too long tonight on this, but I think it's important to notice what this program is allowing us to do. We've kind of built internal infrastructure in order to move projects, right? So now we've got a right-of-way team on board to help us with purchasing right-of-way for big projects. Design, inspection, reviewing plans, and moving forward with a lot of complex things going on, multiple funding and things like that. So I think it's important to note that's what this program, another thing this program is doing is going to help us get more sophisticated in our engineering department to move more projects quicker. So,
okay. Do we have any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, a second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any discussion? Cagnolati, excuse me. Any objection? None. So moved. Moving on to number 15, resolution for design exceptions for the Babin Road Bridge Replacement Project. This resolution represents the second design exception for this project. Mr. Enlow.
Yep, this is, I don't want to really call it a housekeeping item, but it is a design exception. Like I said, a lot of things are based off of the DOTD EDSM. This is a DOTD off-system bridge project for one of our local bridges. And I think this one has to do, if I'm not mistaken, with maybe a guardrail exception on the design that doesn't meet the DOTD EDSM. So we have to have this governing body's approval to have a design exception so that the DOTD engineer can sign off on it.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Councilman Clord, a second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any discussion? None. Any objection? None. So moved. And moving on to I put it down already, 16.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Thank y'all very much for a very good meeting. Y'all did a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Can get William Daniels' number for you after the meeting.
Yes.